Recording in progress.
All right, so we're going to have an introduction to the friend class, and this is what we know as investiture achievement. I understand we have different levels of experienced or non-experienced people in this classroom. So if you already have a lot of experience in this, bear with me, okay? Bear with me. And for those who are new, don't be scared that it's going to be a lot of information, okay? Because we have our best instructor above, that is Jesus Christ, that he will supply everything that we're lacking in our ministry. And you just need to rely on that. So what is investiture achievement? It is the core curriculum for Pathfinder Club ministry. And most activities and events can be developed and planned to fulfill the requirement throughout the Pathfinder year. Remember that as candidates, you are supposed to do a Pathfinder calendar and adventure calendar. So when you're doing this planning, you need to get acquainted with what you're going to be teaching so that you can schedule in your calendars all the activities that will be needed to meet the requirements for investiture. Investiture achievement is for Pathfinders in grades 5 to 10, or their equivalent, and it's divided into 6 levels, one for each year. So we will have different requirements for friend, different requirements for companion, but they all have a similar template. And these templates are what we call them tracks. They're going to be 7 areas or tracks that these classes are going to be divided in. Therefore, it is important that you spend time getting familiar with the scope and sequence of investiture achievement. For adventures, we have what is called the scope of sequence. For Pathfinders, we have the investiture achievement. All right. Area coordinators and other experienced Pathfinder staff are available to help you learn how to implement the many investiture achievement tasks into your club planning and programming. You're not alone. Don't be scared. If you're a brand new director and you've never been in Pathfinders, there is a lot of resources out there and there is a lot of people willing to help you. And I want to emphasize that they are not there to do your job. They are there to help you, to give you suggestions, to give you advice, to point you the right way. But they are not going to do the work for you. You will have to invest your time getting familiar with this. Because if they do the job for you, you will always be depending on others, right? Because you never get to do it. You never learn how to do it. You need to get out of your comfort zone and sometimes do the things that you thought you will never do, maybe public speaking, maybe teaching outdoors skills that you have never experienced. And this is where preparation comes in hand. Because in order to do this, the first step is that you're familiar with. And this is why one of the requirements for Master Guides is that you do at least 2 books for the Master Guide certification for Pathfinders and 2 books for adventures. Because how will you be teaching the Pathfinders if you have never done it yourself? There is no better way to prepare for what you're going to teach than to fill up your book, to do your own devotionals, because a lot of kids don't understand what they need to do, and then you don't know what it takes to do that. You don't know how long or how difficult. So if you step in their own shoes, you will have a better sense of how much time they need to complete certain tasks, how much time they need for an assignment, how many resources, how you can teach them in an effective way. So this is why it's vital and it's a requirement that you complete these 2 books. We have, as you can see here, the grades, the levels, and we have the basic level, and then we have the advanced levels. If you see, they have a slightly different names, and I will explain that in a little bit. And something that I want to point out is that you start at grade 5, which is 10 years old. But the way this curriculum is designed is that it has prerequisites. So it goes building up on top of every previous assignment. So if you get somebody that is 14 years old and you put them in the Voyager level, this person is going to have a hard time, because when they go to their book, they're going to find like prerequisite, filling section, honor this and that and that and that. And this person hasn't done this the beginning. So when you have those cases, the advice is that you give them the book that corresponds to their age, but simultaneously you help them start completing retroactively the other books. Because imagine if you go to school, you never went to school for X reasons, and you're 15 years old. You never learn how to add and how to multiply and how to read. And they say, well, you have 14, you go to this grade, I don't know, 10, grade 10, grade 11. And they give you physics and they give you chemistry. It's going to be very tough because you don't have the foundations. So you have to work hard with these people that are coming at an advanced age, so they stay in the level that is according to their age, but they also little by little complete. Another advice is, if everybody is brand new in your club with no experience, do all together the friend book. I have had the case when we, even adults, we were doing the friend book, and when we got to the first page that it says to be in grade 5, we explained to them, listen, I am so and so years old, and I'm still doing it with you. There is no shame, because what you're learning is still relevant. Okay, so each case is going to be specific to each club. I don't think there is just one way to do things. You analyze and you see what is going to be most beneficial to people in your club. All right, always try treating to catch up to the year they are supposed to, but also pushing the other classes. So eventually the ideal is that they graduate with all their classes. Sometimes what you can do is first do their class and give them the honors that they need as prerequisite, so they start catching up little by little. Okay, so let's continue. Back on the day, in the manuals, we will have the objectives of the class. This is ancient now, but I still like to have it there because we remember what are the objectives for that age in particular. So the objectives are to provide opportunities for the juniors to learn that God loves and cares for all the people. They're learning about God's love and the love they have for others. They need to realize that Christ is the greatest revelation of God. To encourage awareness within the juniors that the church is interested in them as individuals. This is where they start making connections with the church as individuals, because they will be your future deacons, your future elders, and they need to find their spot in where do they fit in the church. To allow for personal growth and development through interpersonal relationships within selected activities. These activities are going to help them develop friendships and mentorships. Okay, to enlarge their vision of the needs of their community and to help them find ways of attending to these needs. To assist them in developing a desire for achievement in all their work and to stimulate a desire to continue through the entire class. We need to encourage them, motivate them, so they don't quit after just doing the friend class. And the basis that you're setting with the friend class are going to determine if that Pathfinder wants to come back for companion. A lot of times, if we lack motivation and planning in here, their experience is going to be very deficient, very negative. And remember, they're coming from adventures. If they have been already in the club, they're transitioning. So this is their first experience. They're still in that age where they are adapted to the curriculum for adventures, which is games and crafts. And all of a sudden they find themselves in this class, which has assignments and writing and reading. So we need to make sure that there is a nice transition between that. This is the friend record journal. You know it as the book. It's actually a record journal. And You can use it, buy it from an advance source. It's very cheap. If for X reason you cannot, there is also online a way to download it for free, although you need to print it. And if you notice, when you complete this class, you will get your friend classes trip. This is the patch that goes on the above the pocket. Then we have the pin for the basic level. Then we have that chevron. That little V is called a chevron. It will go on your sleeve. And if you do the advanced requirements, you will get the trail friend level. And you will get the bar. You do not get all of them easy. There are many people. It comes down to the leadership and the transparency of honesty, because you are the ones with them throughout the year. And if they only do the basic and you give them the bar, then you are not being honest. And part of our Pathfinder law is to be, our Pathfinder pledge is to be honest, kind of true, right? And Pathfinder law, do my honest part. So we need to preach with example. There is no shame on them not getting the advance. You can always come back after you get your investiture and you have extra time and do with them the advance and complete it. So they all get their bars. Always get them motivated. The basic is the pin, but always motivate them, especially you guys. You are adults. If a kid 10 years old can do it, you can do it too. So I suggest that you do the advanced level, right? So these are the 7 tracks that we talk about. We have the personal growth, spiritual discovery, serving others, making friends, health and fitness, nature study, outdoor living, and honor enrichment. If you notice that honor enrichment is only for the advanced level only, because when you do the basic part, you will have parts of an honor. Let's say, oh, do this honor only question 1, 2, 3. But the honor has like 8 questions. So if you complete that honor, you're completing part of the advance, right? We'll get to that. In personal growth, they're going to be learning about the ordinances, the emblems of the Pathfinder and AY lifestyle. In discovery, spiritual discovery, there's going to be a part where they're going to be learning about the Bible. It includes a lot of reading and is one, in my personal opinion, one of the most challenging ones, because you cannot do it for them. You can push them and motivate them, but this is something that they have to do, because this will encourage them to develop the habit of having a daily communion with God. So this is very important, and it becomes one of the most difficult points when it comes to evaluation, because either they procrastinate and they wait until the very last, or they don't understand a lot of what the assignment is, or the readings are difficult. And I just completed last year my guide class, and let me tell you, it grows in difficulty. You start with 13 weeks, but it increases, and the questions increases, and the Bible texts that you have to read sometimes are very confusing. So if as an adult, sometimes we feel the challenge, imagine as kids. So we need to provide them with opportunities, be checking on them consistently so they can catch up to this. They cannot complete this in a month. They might fake it, they might tell us they did it, but they're not doing it the right way. And at the end of the day, the point is that they develop a daily communion habit of learning, of studying their Bible. So it's up to us to set them for success and not for failure. Then we have serving others. This part includes teaching them how to be kind to others, community service, acts of service for others. Making friends will encourage their personal relationships between God and their friends. Health and fitness, physical health. You master guys also have that. It's healthy living, right? You have healthy living as one of your certification tracks. So this is where it's coming from health and fitness. Then we have nature study. That is going to be anything that has to be with nature, animals, flowers, trees. And then we have outdoor living, which is going to be the outdoor skills, the recreational honors that we know. And eventually then we have the honor enrichment, which is additional honors that you can do that get you to the advanced level, but it's also what at the end of the day you guys as Master Guide candidates need. So when you finish this, you will have about 5 honors. If you didn't have them previously, then those 5 honors, 6 honors can count towards your 20 honors that you need by the time you get invested. All right, let's continue then. Give me 1 second. Let me save the chat as well. Okay, so there's so much information. Don't get scared, don't get intimidated. I'm gonna teach you where to start. Ideally, if you are in the Master Guide, in the Pathfinder direction, leadership, let's put in team, your church will have voted for at least one person to be in the staff who has that experience, who is seasoned, as we call them, is experience, to give you guidance. And you also can rely on this person that has experience. Most of us have at least one person in our church that has been in club for 10, 20 years. And we also have our best friend, the club coordinator. I don't expect you at this time to know your club coordinator yet, because there have been some movements and transfers from some coordinators going from one church to another. So I'm going to give you a little bit more of time, but in the future, I'm going to quiz you if you know your coordinator's name and if you have their contact information, because this is vital. This is if you have any questions, and you can go ask 5 people and 5 people can give you 5 different answers, but there's certain things that are protocol, that there's a specific way to do it, especially when it comes to ceremonies, requirements, and things like that, that you want your coordinator's input. You always want to have a friendly relationship with your coordinator, all right? However, there are cases where we have churches, especially after COVID, where there is lack of leadership. Many people have moved away, many people have gone other places, they have left club ministry to go do their own projects with other church departments. So if this is the situation, we have resources. And the first resource that we can use to help is the website that is called clubministries.org. I have it here. I have a slide with all the resources. So when you go to clubministries.org, the first thing you will find that can help you, give me 1 second if it's not responding, is the Investiture Achievements Director's Guide. So let me get out of here 1 second. I'm going to show you how to navigate the Club Ministries website, because it's very important that you become familiar with all these websites that are your encyclopedias, or they offer you resources. So I can put here clubministries.org. And this is good for both adventurers, pathfinders, master guides, etc. But we're going to focus on pathfinders, and I can go directly Pathfinders Investiture Achievement, which is the curriculum. And I choose my class. My class is friend level. Here you can find all these resources are free, and you can download them. And also these resources, you can buy them, the actual hard copy, you can buy them in Advancers. But if you want to be economical and you have no difficulty reading in a tablet or printing it out, then this you can do. All right, so the one that I'm showing you is the instructor, the directors. 1 second, I lost it. I lost my PowerPoint here. The director's guide. The director's guide is sort of like the manuals that you get for Sabbath school. I'm going to show you. If you can see here my camera. This is in Spanish. I bought it from my mom. But I believe Evelyn has one in English or the one for this class. The difference between the director's guide and the instructor's guide is the director's guide brings all the information that you need for the classes for all of them, from friend to guide. You see, it has all the descriptions inside, and it comes with a little flash drive. Hold on. Let me see. Let me show you. See, it's like a key, but it's a flash drive where you have some information. So you have digital information and you have the printed out version if you want. And this one has the information that I will need to teach from friend to guide. It's a little more expensive than the instructor's manual. The instructor's manual is the next one that I'm showing here in my screen. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. All right, you see it. Then we have the instructor's help. The instructor's help is a little more narrower, less pages, because it only covers the friend material. So depending on what your budget is, if you actually want to purchase this, you can decide to choose the director's guide, which has already all the levels, or if you want to choose the instructor's help and later buy the other one and buy the other one. And remember, you have this also for free in Club Ministries. You have the instructor's help. You don't have the director's guide for free, but you do have the instructor's help for all the levels. All right, so let's keep going. We have 7 tracks. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to cover little by little. And give me 1 second. And we're going to get ideas on how you can do them, because I understand many of you in your clubs, the director might not have enough time to sit with you and help you do it. So you will be doing your book on your own, at your own pace, whenever you have the time. So the first division is the spiritual discovery. If you guys go to Club Ministries, which was the website that I was showing you at the beginning. Let me see, where did it go? Right, we go to Club Ministries, Pathfinder Investor Achievement Friend class. You can find the friend requirements. If I download the friend requirements, it's right here. You can see all the 7 tracks and all the description of all the things that you need to do. The advanced requirements are in yellow, so you will leave those towards the end. You focus first on the basic. And then if you have extra time, you come back to these ones. Okay, so you cover everything except the yellow part. And if you have time, you cover the yellow part. All right, so let's go back inside. Let's go inside this. This is the teacher's help. This is the instructor's help, the manual, as I call them, the instructor's manual. All right, in here, it also gives you the description of all the things that you need to do. You see? You have the requirements here, but you also get teaching tips. And these teaching tips are important because they give you an idea if some some track is difficult to cover, you don't know exactly what you need to do. They give you an idea, but in other cases, they give you a more detailed explanation. For instance, they're here giving you the pledge with explanation, the Pathfinder law with the explanation. If you recently had your induction, you know that we explained this once with lighting each candle, right? So this is where you can get it too from for your induction. And in some places, it even gives you websites. For instance, here, it gives me websites to some songs. It gives me websites to some articles that I need to read. So instead of just starting from scratch, I can always go back to this. This will be a guideline pointing what is the purpose of each assignment and how I can fulfill it. So let's go back to our presentation then. And we're going to start with spiritual discovery. And for spiritual discovery, the first one is that we have to memorize did I skip one? The order of the names of the New Testament of the Bible. Hold on, did I skip one? 1 second. Okay, I skipped personal growth. Let me see, maybe, okay, I put it wrong. Okay, so the personal growth, the first one, you need to be in at least 5th grade. And if you notice in the journal, in the first page, I'm going to see if I can have them side by side. In the first page of the journal, you have to have your kids paint or take a photo, and they can put it in their book. If you don't have a camera, you cannot print your photo. Make them draw it. Make them draw themselves. And as adults, you can always make fun at you on your drawing skills. And it's very pretty to see either your drawing or the progression of your photos. Because if you take a photo when they're friends, and the following year when they're companions, and the following year when they're explorers, you can see how this kid is growing up, and you're recording it in photos. So it's up to you to do it. So we move to the personal requirement, which is to read the book of Matthew. And this is something that you can either do with them in the club. During club hours, you can set aside, maybe read 1 chapter or 2 chapters at a time. But then again, this depends on you. There's not only one way to do things. Because if you have lack of counselors in your club, and you might not be able to do that, then this needs to be their homework. This needs to be done by them. So if you can help them and read it in the club, do it. But other than that, it's their own responsibility to read it. So you tell them you need to read the book of Matthew, and you need to address these 3 questions. And these 3 questions are going to be consistent for not only the book of Matthew, but for their devotionals. In their devotionals, they're going to have 13 weeks, and they have these verses here. And something that they get confused a lot of times is that they think it's only 1 verse or 2 verses. They think this is a suggestion. This is not a suggestion. This means they need to read all of them. It's not like, oh, let me choose 1 out of the list. No, it's all of them, because they're supposed to be reading 1 per day. Okay, they're developing their habit of reading their Bible daily. And my suggestion for you guys as adults, and even for kids, we don't have a lot of time to sit down and read all of this at once. So what I have done, it has helped me as an adult particularly, is that I copy this text and I put it in my notes in my cell phone. So whenever I have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I go to my notes, I check the citation, the Bible text, read it, and write in my notes the essence, what I took from that verse. And I might not be able to do all of them in 1 week, depending on how busy I was that week. But I already have my notes. And eventually when I finish, when I have 2-3 weeks already in my cell phone, then I might have 1 hour to sit down and write it in my journal. And if I don't write it, I might not be able to remember what verse specifically was talking about. But if I have it in my notes, it's easier to go retroactively and say, okay, out of these verses, which one taught me something about God? Oh, this verse and this verse taught me that God is merciful, that God is so powerful, this and that. And the topic is identity. That means that I need to read all these verses, trying to see how they teach me about my identity. So it's not only reading randomly. I need to see what the topic of that week is and try to make an association. Because as you do the other books, it's going to get a little bit more complicated. All right. So not always all the verses have something to do with that. This is something that I have found out as an adult reading my devotionals, that is frustrated sometimes if it's talking about identity and they give me a verse that has nothing to do with that. And if your kid has this question and you have not done your devotionals yourself, you won't know what they're talking about. So you look at what verses they cover this identity in terms of God, and you respond then. You don't need to include all the verses in each question that you're addressing. You can just take 1 verse to address one of those questions. And you might end up talking in these 3 questions only about 2 verses. That's fine. You don't need to cover all 6, 7 in the questions, but it's important that you read them and then you have the essence of which ones we're talking about, what topic, and then it's easier for you to come back whenever you have the free time and put in your answers. All right, so these are 13 of them, and this is something that you have to be early in the year giving to your Pathfinders and to the adults and to the staff. Push your staff to do the books. Don't just do it yourself. Your staff needs to be progressing too. Something that is frustrating is a lot of times the kids get invested, but the staff lack that motivation from their directors to do their classes. And they have been in club ministry for 4, 5, 6 years, and they have nothing to show for themselves. They also have to. They also need to have their own personal goals. Okay, so eventually this year I want to graduate from this class, or this year I want to do 3 honors, or this year I want to accomplish this and that. They have to have their personal goals. Otherwise, they're gonna miss motivation, and eventually this is gonna have no reason to keep bringing them back the following year. All right. So we cover then the devotionals. Let me go back to this part. They need to then read the book of Matthew, right? I made a mistake here. This belongs to the other part, but let's go to number 2A. They need to do the 13 weeks of devotionals and the book of Matthew and answer those 3 questions. What did I learn about God? What did I learn about myself? And how I can apply this to my life today. If you notice, there is a similarity with your assignments because you need to reply in your assignments. What was the application to my spiritual life? And what is the application to the ministry? This is where it's coming from. It's inspired on this, only is the next level. All right. So we always address this. Something that is important is that they can address the journal through writing, drawing, or electronic process. What this means is that not necessarily they need to write. We have kids with special needs. They might not be able to answer every single question as is the standard, but they might be able sometimes to do it verbally. So they could have some recordings, some electronic entries. And you guys, as the staff, need to be open-minded and tolerant. You cannot tell them like, oh, just because you have ADHD and you cannot sit down in one seat and do all this at once, I'm not gonna accept the audio entries that you have. That kid could have audio entries working with their parents and have a folder and uploaded everything, and they give you the recordings for you to listen. You have to be receptive and you have to be open-minded. If they give you drawings, this is something that a lot of kids want to do in order to cheat out. They say, oh, I'll draw it because it says I can draw. It says I can do my own thing, just to avoid reading it. You see, because they think, oh, this is a shortcut. So you ask them, okay, you can draw it, but as long as you can remember what you drew and what you drew it for. You see, in 6 months from now, 7 months from now, when the coordinator comes and evaluates your book, if he points at this drawing, are you going to be clear about what this drawing was talking about? Is it going to be clear that this drawing is addressing how you can apply this to your personal life? Is this clear about what you're learning about God? So this is some things that we need to be careful. They can draw, but they can draw as long as they will remember what it was about, not just to get out of the way and instead of reading and writing to find a shortcut to the assignment. Then we have to memorize the Pathfinder Pledge and the Pathfinder Law. A way to do this is through repetition. Every time you start club meetings, you can repeat, just like we do here with the Pathfinders, with the Adventures Pledge and Law, with the Mastercard Pledge and Law, and the song. Right? Repetition helps them memorize things, and you can also give them some games, exercises to write it down, and they will become familiar with that, because not everybody learns the same way. Not everybody's going to learn through repetition. Some people learn through word association. Some people learn through visually, right? They need to You might need to display it every time for somebody that learns visually and have an actual banner or something that they can see and learn that way. Then we move on to the second track, which is spiritual discovery. We need to memorize the New Testament books. And some suggestions for this is that you have songs that teach them these ones. Even for you guys as adults, you can learn the song, and when it comes to when it comes to your evaluation, you can sing the song. Even if you don't know how to recite it, you can just sing the song. It's like, hey, here are the books of the New Testament. You can have memory games. Memory game is when you have we have images or written things, and then you're turning around and you're trying to find the pair. So you get to go, you get to flip two images to pieces at a time, and if they're paired, you can match it. So you can match the Bible book to the category, because it's not just learning what the books of the Bible, which ones are the epistles, which the letters, right? Which ones are the gospels, which ones are the prophecy book, which one is the epistles. I think I already said it. So you can match it to the category and they can play like that. You can have grouping book game. And this is when you write all the names of the books and their category, and you divide them in units or in groups, and you say, okay, let's match it. You will put it in the table, on the floor, whatever you're playing. You will put every paper, you line it up in order within their category, and the group that ends first wins. And everybody is trying to think, okay, this goes here, no, this goes up here, this belongs to the other group. That's another suggestion that you can do to teach them this. If you go to the instructors helps, there are more suggestions. Okay, then you can also have word search puzzle. You can have a crossword. There's so many things when you go online how to learn about the Bible books, and you can find them this way. Then you need to demonstrate your ability to find a New Testament book. So you play with them, you make them bring their Bibles, and you tell them, oh, all right, so you need to look for these verses. We're gonna do like a speed search contest. Okay, who finds Acts 1:1? And okay, 1 point for this team. And that's how you train them, and they become familiar where the books are. And this is covering this requirement. Then we have memorizing Bible texts for the following subjects. I didn't put it in order, but we have prayer, we have different suggestions for those verses, and you choose one. What I like to choose, I usually go through all of them, and I choose, as the instructor, I can choose the one that is easier, the one that has the simplest vocabulary, or the one that is the shortest. And I choose that, and I suggest them, hey, I suggest you from this group, you learn this one. And you can have them memorize all of them. And when it comes to evaluation, they recite it for whoever is doing the evaluation, if it's the director or the instructor. Or another suggestion is that you give them the whole year to learn it. So at whatever point they learn one, they come to you and they recite it. And if they recite it, you check it and you put a little signature in the book for each category. So throughout the year, they have a whole year of opportunities to learn, to give you one per week or one every 2 weeks, so that when it comes to the evaluation time, they already gave it to you and they don't need to be evaluated on that. Because it's going to be, for some particular cases, it might be very challenging for them to learn 7 verses all at once and give them out like that, than to divide that assignment throughout the year. I have a comment from Christiana that we now have newer versions of the Pathfinder and Adventure workbook. Yes. Unfortunately, the one that comes in the instructor's guideline, instructor's help, is the old one. They haven't updated, but it's not far from what it used to be. It's small changes. It's not 100% different. It's very similar. The number of pages might be in different places. Some assignments might be slightly different, but the idea, the help that it brings behind the explanation of the assignments, that is still relevant. I think that covers that question.
I just need to follow up. I'm sorry on your answer because what I'm asking is, can I use the old books? I have lots of the old books. Can I use the old books, or do I have to use the newer workbooks?
Okay, so the books have changed. The
Yeah.
journals themselves have changed. Back on the day, they could require more things. It was a little more
Okay.
difficult. Now they have simplified it. So because you will be teaching the new ones, you're not you have in stock 50 of the old books. You will be doing the new ones. I would advise that you at least take a look and see what has changed. If
Okay.
you have already a book, let's say I have a book that I bought 5 years ago and I never used it. If you don't want to buy a new one, go ahead and use it, but just check what has changed. Otherwise, when it's your turn to teach it, there are things that are going to be completely different for you, brand new, and it might be challenging. All right.
Right now we're using the both books, and I'm teaching from both books. So but I just want to know from my master guide
The
thing
pages
if
are
it matters. It doesn't matter, right?
I will take it if it's not too old, if it's not from
That's
the
recent. Yeah.
1930s. But I will take it, but just be aware that there are changes. There are some
Yeah.
changes.
Great.
For instance,
Okay.
one of those changes
Yeah, I
are
saw that.
that honors are constantly being upgraded, renewed. And we're going to get to one of those cases when it gets renewed. Another difference is that for the health and fitness, now in the new books, you have a journal where you can actually put your entries of the exercises that you do that they didn't have it before.
In the
All
old
right,
book,
so
yeah.
it's slightly different, but the help that you will find online and the book that you're going to find online, they're not the most recent ones. They are
Okay.
probably one edition before the most recent one. So if you want to download it, you can still work with that, but I will
You
suggest
can.
that you always, it's still, the instructor's help is still relevant to the new book. So you
Mm.
always compare and see, okay, if you need to upgrade something, you move with the times. And in
Right.
climate we need to be always updating ourselves because they make changes and renovations, and we're going to cover a few of them in a bit. Okay, so let's
Thank you
keep
so
moving.
much.
No problem. Let's keep moving then to the following one, which is the skit. They need to do a skit about the life of Jesus, and you can choose all these four scenarios. You only need to do one, and you can organize with them and practice to do it during Sabbath school or the children's story or the AY program, or just do it within your club. Because at this stage, they're still they are not ashamed to do that, but once they start getting into the companion and the explorer ages, they get embarrassed. So you might also consider the option of just doing it within your club hours. Another option is that they do it with puppets, with sock puppets or something, so people won't know who is doing what. Because often they get embarrassed if people see them acting out, but if nobody's gonna know who is doing what role, they don't care. All right. Then we continue with spiritual discovery. We need to learn about the Advent Awakening, which happened between 1700 and 1844. And this includes 7 people and 3 events. And often we think it's all of them randomly, and we give them a bunch of people that came later on. And when it comes to the companion book, then it comes to the early missionaries. And we were like, oh, I already covered this in the friend book because we didn't know. But now that we have that instructor's help, we can find in the manual that the people that we're supposed to cover are all these people that are in the list. So we leave all the missionaries for later on for the following class. All right. So then we go to the events, which are these. I give you 3 events here, and these are the events that you're going to be teaching. The Lisbon earthquake, the dark day of May, 1917-80, and the meteor shower that happened in 1833. So it's not any random event. we're looking for these events. And the resources for this, you can go to different books that we have, right? We have the Tell It to the World, which is one of the books that you need to read to for the MasterCard certification. So if you notice, a lot of the things that we're doing, they are so linked to the Adventist, the investiture achievement. All right, so let's keep going. You can teach them through videos. You can teach them through acting it out. You can teach them with images. You tell them the story. You can dress up as a character, and you tell them as if it was your story in first person. You tell them that story, right? So there are many ideas, and in the instructors help, they also give you suggestions on how to do them. Try to not do it too long and not too boring. Don't get too technical in all the details previous to something, because if you go to the, let's say, the Adventist Encyclopedia, you will find 3-4 pages in their biography, right? Just go to the highlights, go to the main points, because when they ask them for the evaluation, they're not going to be asking, where they were born, how many siblings they had, where did they go to university. They just need to know what are the highlights of their life. So this is what we need them to learn. And this helps you too, because we are doing the Adventist Pioneer Heritage Honor, and also in your exam as Master Guides, one of the parts is going to be about Adventist Heritage. So it's always good to know this. Now we move to the next track, which is serving others. And in this, you need to consult with your leader. It can be personal ministries, or it can be the community services in your church, or it can be within some relatives of the Pathfinders. They need to find ways and opportunities to spend time being a friend with someone in need. So you can either find somebody that is not coming to the church for some time. You coordinate ahead of time. You don't surprise them. You coordinate ahead of time to see if you can come to their house with the club, or with the class, or with the unit, depending on how big your club is, to pay them a visit. And this can cover that assignment. Or you can do it on your own as adults. You can just go visit a friend, and then you record it in your journal. Then the next one is 4 hours of projects that benefit the church or school. And this is great for the Compassion Sabbaths projects, because we suggest to have one compassion project each month. So if you do it for 1 hour, with 4 compassion projects, you already cover this, and you record the dates and the time in your journals. Then we move to the next one. The next track is called Making Friends. And in this track, we are going to learn 10 qualities of being a good friend. And they need to share 2 that are most important to them. So if you go to the instructor's help, there is a list of a bunch of qualities of a good friend and why they're important. So it's pretty straightforward, but if you want to have some starting point, you can go to that list and go through them, and you explain them. Okay, so a good friend is this and that. And you ask them to, okay, what is a good friend? What would you like to have in a good friend? And they can brainstorm with you, and then you explain to them why it is important that we also are good friends. All the qualities that they want to have in a friend, we should have them first. The next requirement, and this is the first example that we have for honors. When you have the basic level, not always they ask you to fulfill the whole honor. Sometimes for the basics, they will ask you a few questions. So for this, I do suggest that you do the full honor. If you only do that requirement only, which is question number 1, 2, and 3, you're going to complete your book. That's going to be fine. You're going to complete your book. They're going to get their pin. They're going to get invested, but they will not get their patch. And that beautiful sash that they have for the uniforms, that many times I see them empty. We don't want that empty. And they love when they get their sashes, and you can get them hyped. Today, we're going to do this honor. So we're going to be covering part of the requirement for the book, but we're also going to be already getting our first batch for our honor. So this is why planning your calendar is important, because then you make sure that you have enough session club meetings for these honors. and that you have enough time to either prepare yourself, assign it to an instructor in your club, or invite somebody from the conference to come to your club and give you this. This is why you, at the beginning of the year, you go and say, okay, I need 5 honors or 6 honors for this class, and I already put this for April, this other one for May, this other one for June, this other one for July. And when it comes to September, October, you're not running all stressed out because all of a sudden you have to do 6 honors with them. You need to plan accordingly. All right. So I show you here for the basic, you only need question number 1, 2, and 3. And then next to it, you see that is the requirements for the honors. And this is where I'm going to teach you how to get these requirements. I know for many of you second-year students, you already know about Advanced Source and you already know about Wikipathfinders, but we're going to review with all of them together. And our second website that is going to be a great help for us is Advanced Source. AdvancedSource.org is the official website for everything that is Club Ministries in terms of uniforms, in terms of accessories, pins, patches, right? So if you go to this search bar, you need to know the name of the honor. That's one of the things. So we're talking about Christian citizenship. So I'm going to type here Christian citizenship, and I hit enter. And you see that it says restricted. That means you cannot buy it. Only directors with temporary clearance can buy it, but it's fine. We're not going to buy it right now. We just want to know what are we supposed to do? So we click the patch, we click the image, and it opens up. And on this side, we have a PDF for the requirements, a PDF for the worksheet, and for English and Spanish. Okay, we don't have it in French. I'm pretty sure if you go looking online, maybe in other websites, they might have it. Okay, my internet is coming in and out. I apologize if it starts lagging, but let's keep going. So I'm going to click in the requirements. The requirements is giving me the list of the things that I need. I can have this to prepare myself. However, what is more useful is the worksheet, because the worksheet already has the lines to write on it. And this is what you need to submit when you complete an honor for your Master Guide certification. I need to see this filled up. And if you do it on your own, then you don't have an instructor to sign it. I'll sign it for you. We'll sign it here. The instructors in the class will sign it for you. We can sign it digitally. All right, but this is, you prepare ahead of time, you print these things out for your Pathfinders, and you prepare ahead of time. So how do I prepare? How do I know? I've never heard about flags. I don't know what the A flag looks like. I don't know what the Christian flag looks like. How do I know? Then we go to our third website, which is Wikipathfinders. I'm just going to go here. I'm going to put Wikipathfinders. And I want to be clear, this website, and I cannot stress this enough, this website is for adults only. You don't refer your Pathfinders to this website. This is for instructors and directors and counselors to prepare, to teach them. The way adults learn is not the same way that you will teach an honor to a Pathfinder. So this is for you to prepare ahead of time, not to send them, oh, here's the website, go do your 20 honors on your own. No, we don't do that. This is just for you guys. And please do not teach your honors in your club, just giving them a link and then the kid has to figure it out on his own. All right, so we're gonna go to Wikipathfinders. Zooming. I go to AY honors, all honors, and you see I have all the categories in here. If I'm not familiar, I start getting familiar. We have arts and crafts and hobbies, health and science, household arts, nature, other industries, recreation, spiritual growth, outreach and heritage, and vocational. These are the categories for our honors. If you come below, we have an alphabetical list we have the category, and we have the skill level. So in your certifications, and even in the books, as you move to the higher levels, it tells you do a level 2 or 3 honor not previously done. This is how you find out if your honor is level 2 or 3. And also when you go to the requirements in Advanced Source, and at the bottom, it will tell you what level it is, right? Level 1 will be good for all friends and companions. Once you get to Explorer, it starts asking you for level 2s and level 3s. All right, so let's go back. We're talking about Christian citizenship. So I'm gonna go alphabetically. Also, I can go to the search bar and just write it down. We're in C, Christian citizenship right here. It's a level 1. So I'm gonna click on it. And it gives me what is the most challenging part. Because some honors have parts that are very difficult. Give me 1 second, please. All right. So you go up here to the requirements, and you will find the requirements. It's very simple. It's the same, actually, the same content as the requirements from Advanced Source. It's the same list. Sometimes, depending on the honor, you will have General Conference and you will have North American Division. We're in the North American Division. Some honors, most of the honors, we follow the North American Division page. And some honors that they don't have that, we do General Conference. If you go to the answer key, you see, it tells you where from, because Christian citizenship is an honor that it changes depending on what country you are, because it's talking about the countries from the flags for that country. So we pick United States, and I go to the answer key. And so the team from the North American Division have been so great that they have put all these answers for us to be able to read and find out what the questions are, you see? Now, if you notice, the worksheet only has 2 lines. And here in my explanation, I have a paragraph, an article, a lot of things. This is for you to read all these and synthesize the information and talk it to the Pathfinders in a way that they can formulate in their own words their answers to make it able to fit in these 2 lines. Now, Pathfinders write big. What you can do sometimes, if they have an issue making fit everything in here, you can just add additional pages and put it at the end. You just write here, question 1 continues on the back of the page, or continues on an additional page, and you keep that in a binder. Imagine when you were a Pathfinder, if somebody had told you, keep all your worksheets because you're going to need them when you're a master guide. You will have half the work now, right? So it's important that you have a binder for them where they're going to have all their honors in protectors, in plastic protectors. All right, so you find all the answers in here for all the questions. There's so many flags because it depends on what state you are. One of the questions is your state flag. So they have all 50, but you can find all the questions and answers. Some honors don't have the answers to few questions. Then you have to do your own research. But for the most part, this website provides most of the answers. And again, it's only for instructors and directors. Do not teach like this to a kid. Don't tell them, here's the website, or I printed out the answers, go figure it out yourself. Please don't do that. That is very detrimental to the Pathfinders. Okay, so let's go back to now that we know how to find out our answers for our honors, we're gonna move a little bit more fast. I lost my PowerPoint, 1 second. It's right here. All right, so we cover then Christian citizenship, same thing for health and fitness, and that following track. You need to do certain questions that belong to the nutrition honor. And these questions, you find here the requirements. This is the patch that you earn when you fulfill it. But there is another website that is very helpful, and this is myplate.gov, which has a lot of information, different posters, and includes this little plate that I like, that you can print it out for them to paint it. There are different versions. There is versions where you have the fruits, the words in the plate, but there are others where you have figures in the plate. You can print a bunch of different foods, cut them out, and have your pathfinders tape them on them, or you can have them draw it on them. So this is something that is very helpful when teaching the nutrition honor. You can decide if you only do the questions that are part of that honor, part of the book, or you can decide to go for the full honor. Nutrition honor can be a little lengthy, but the most lengthiest of these honors at friend level is going to be Christian citizenship, because one of the requirements is that you need to meet with some leader from your area, from an official from your area. And sometimes this is very difficult to coordinate because they don't want to schedule an interview or a session with us. So my suggestion, it will be maybe take them to the fire station or take them to the precinct, and they can meet with someone that works in government. I'm looking for it. Okay, here, number 6. Have an interview with a local, regional, national official of your country and learn his duties. So if you cannot find a politician, I suggest you can always go to your precinct and to your fire station. Now, then, this takes time because you need to schedule it, you need to book it, you need to plan it. This is when planning comes in hand. Okay, let's move to health and fitness. Health and fitness, yes. In this part, we need to earn the red alert. Now, red alert used to be 1 honor. They have divided it into 2. Now we have, this is one of the changes that I was telling you that we always need to be checking because there are updates and there are changes that they do every now and then. This is a very recent one. We have red alert 1 with this is the wrong patch, I think. Red alert 1 should be blue, and we have red alert 2, which is red. This red one is the wrong patch. This one is for companion. If you notice, when we have many honors, the colors of the frames will reflect what class they are. So let me go to advanced source again, and I'll show you the correct one. I go to red alert, and it will give me 2. I want red alert 1. You see, red alert 1 has the blue frame, which is for friend, because friend book is blue. The same goes for camping skills. Camping skills 1 is blue. The 10 is blue. The frame is blue. Red alert for companion will be red because companion has the red color. So I'm just gonna replace very quickly this for you guys so I can share this with you in a little bit. All right, and you have also the requirements in here because this honor is fairly recent. They don't have the requirements yet in advanced source. So I went to Wikipathfinders and I was able to screenshot the requirements for you guys because they divided this honor. Back on the day, it used to be slightly different, but now they're dividing it for the 2 classes. All right, so always keep up to date with the changes because if you do the old one, then you will go to order at investiture time and you won't find the one that you need because it's discontinued. We keep going. Then we have the option to complete either basic water safety or beginner swimmer's honor. Now, unless you're fortunate, you don't have a swimming pool in your backyard. If you have, that is the perfect way to teach them. Bring your pathfinders to your house. Perfect. Rent an Airbnb. Go to Camp Berkshire on a weekend. Call ahead. Reserve. Make sure that you have a lifeguard with you. But if you don't have those opportunities, take advantage of Camporee. These honors are taught at Camporee always. because we understand that not everybody has a pool in their backyard. Not everybody has a membership to the YMCA. So take advantage, choose one, or you can even choose two. Usually basic water safety is given at Camp Peru. All right. Let's keep going. Nature study, they will have to read Romans 1:19-20. You do this with them. You explain to them. There is plenty of description in the instructor's help. And then part B, you find 2 other chapters in the Bible that demonstrate how nature reveals God's characters. There are suggestions again in the instructor's help. And then we have the part 2, birds and mammals. We're supposed to set up a feeding station for birds or mammals. They have in the book a whole page with 7 divisions for all days: Monday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. They're supposed to do all days, all 7 days. I think it doesn't say Sunday, Monday. It says day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Not every kid in New York City has a yard where they can do this. So my suggestion, if that is the case, if people are living in apartments, in buildings, they cannot do this. So you ahead of time come prepared or buy a bird feeding station and take them to a park near the church. Just sit with them for 20 minutes, see who comes, see if a squirrel comes, if a pigeon comes, if a little finch flies by, if a bee goes, well, it's birds and mammals, it's not insects, but you understand the point. So there have been cases where my pathfinders have been living in apartments and they cannot do this. If they put a feeding station in their yard, they're going to get rats. Not ideal. So you might need to do this with your club. Take 20 minutes of the time, take them to the park. Now, remember, the moment you leave the church building, you need parental consent, you need supervision, all right? So plan accordingly. And in some cases, you might need a parental board, church board, if you're going too far. So if you're going to do this throughout the year and you know they're supposed to observe 7 days and you only meet on Sundays or Saturdays, this is 7 weeks. Then this should be something that you're putting in your calendar when you're starting so you end in time for investiture. These are things that need to be taken into account when planning. Outdoor living. You do 10 knots at this level. In companion, you do another 10 knots. By then you have 20. By the time you get to explorer, you do the knot tying honor. Now at this level, these are the honors that we expect: the square, double bow, figure 8, slip knot, ship bend, clover hitch, bow line, fisherman's loop, double half hitch, timber hitch. These are, where did I get this list? From the instructor's help. All right. You can start ahead of time with them, starting to do a board of knots, or put them in Ziploc bags in a flash card and put them something that they can keep. And for Master Guide candidates, we're going to be working on our knot board. I think I have mine here. I don't know if you will be able to see it. It's in its back, but I have mine. For those who are in first year, in second year, you guys know that we did part of it, right? So we're gonna keep working on this year. And for first year students, we will be teaching the knot tying honor very soon. I don't think you can see it. No, you cannot see it. If Evelyn have some photos, I'm gonna put you in the spot, Evelyn. If you can look for later for some photos to show them. It's not showing well. Okay, so these knots, if you don't have experience doing knots, Advent Source sends this. It's like a triptych. It's like a booklet of knots. They also have these little cards that you can put them in your keychain. But if you want to get resources for free, there are plenty of resources for free. First of all, you go to YouTube. You put YouTube, the knot, YouTube, how to do a square knot, how to tie a square knot, how to do a double bow, how to do a double bow, sorry, a figure 8. And they teach you online too. You go to YouTube. Let's see if we can find. You have even applications that have animations step by step. This is something that we didn't have 10 years ago. So let's say how to do a square knot. I misspelled it. And I go to images and I can see different places. This is 101 Knots is one of the websites that I like to visit. They have a step-by-step with figures. There are some other places that have it with animations. One by one, there's one that has animations. Let me see if it's this one. There are apps too that have it. You know, it gives me by color, by instructions, step by step. I can go to YouTube. There is plenty of channels for people who do this. Let's say how to do a square knot. And it will give me a step by step. And I can practice, and practice makes perfect. So I keep practicing and practicing until I can successfully remember how to do that. And then I teach them to my kids. You can teach this maybe 2-3 knots per session with your pathfinders. If you don't want to sit in one seat, you can do all 10s in one seat and just do the whole meeting about knots, or you can be teaching them 1 every week, 2 every week, or you have options. It's up to you, but plan accordingly so they're not overwhelmed like 1 week before submitting their books for evaluation, and they're not overwhelmed with this. Okay, almost there, guys. Please be patient. Now we have outdoor living, and this is part of the requirements. If you notice, the patch is blue because friend is blue. And here are the requirements. You can do some requirements indoors ahead of time. You can do the theory just like we did with you guys. We did the theory ahead of time. And then by the time you can go on a day field trip with your pathfinders to somebody's backyard, to a park that allows you to light a fire, to somebody's property in the back. You need to plan it so they can do that. If your church can sponsor a club camp out, you do it with them. But most people cannot do it, so because they're already doing a lot of expenses for camporee. So set aside some time during camporee to do it, right? You need to do, in this case, some things that you cannot do in the city. You cannot bake the bread on a stick. You might not be able to do it at church, but you can do it in somebody's backyard in a barbecue, in a grill. You can teach them something that you can do in church is that you can teach them at church. You can bring a sleeping bag and they can do it. So there are plenty of things at this level in Camping Skills 1 that you can do at church, but there are things that you will need to do in an actual camp. All right, so go through them and see, but do not cheat. Many people say, okay, we did a theory, let's call it a day. You know, you never went and actually set up pitch a tent. You never actually went and lit a fire. But you know in theory how to do it, so it's good. No, you're teaching them how to cheat. When they go to college, they learn that from you, and they're gonna replicate that, right? When you give them to read their books, they're just gonna go online and look for the summary and give you that. So we are setting the example for them. Be as transparent and honest as possible. There are some situations where we were not able to do this during COVID, for instance. We were in a lockdown, so we couldn't do it, right? But now we're out of it. There's no excuses. Let's keep going. That too. Oh, at the end, Evelyn, give me 1 second.
Okay, all right.
So thank you. We continue now with the difference between friend and trail friend. We already explained kind of it. The basic will get the ping. The advanced will get the ping and the bar. And they get to put the ping in their sash, and they put the bar in their above their pocket. If they don't have the advanced, then they get the ping in the pocket. We'll talk about uniforms in a little bit. So we must focus, as we say, first on the basic, and then in the advanced. This is why it's good for you to have a deadline. If you say, all right, we're gonna have everything that is basic completed, let's say by July. That leaves us room for all August to do all the advance. And this comes to you as the leader to plan accordingly. If you say, okay, I'm gonna get out of the way first all the honors. I'm gonna have the nutrition honor, the Christian citizenship honor, the campus skills honor. I'm gonna get them out of the way right at the beginning of the year. Then I can take the easy things out. Or you leave the easy things, which are, for instance, the friend qualities, right? That's something easy that you can put on the spot. I'm gonna leave it for when something happens and let's say the instructor doesn't come through. I already have a plan B. So I already prepare ahead of time. If somebody doesn't do their part, which happens, I don't have to come to the club and say like, oh, club meeting canceled because the instructor didn't come or this thing didn't get here on time. You always have a plan B. So now, very quickly, I'm gonna go through the advance. All right, we're gonna go through the advance in here. So for a spiritual discovery, for all of them, for all the categories, you're gonna see that the first requirement is that you complete all the basic requirements. So in this case, it says complete friend requirements. If you completed for a spiritual discovery, you completed 1 through 4, then you already completed number 1 for advance. And number 2 is create a timeline showing the main events of the life of Jesus. In the book, it gives you a timeline. You can use a timeline or you can do your own, because I find that the one that they have, it's a little complicated how to do that. So you might just choose to give them your own timeline and you work it with them. For serving others, again, all the basic requirements, right? Complete friend requirements. And then you bring someone who does not regularly attend to church, to a church program or activity. So it can be BBS, it can be wake up prayer, it can be just a regular Sabbath, it can be to a social. If you tell them ahead of time, oh, this year you need to bring somebody that is not your family, your close family that can always come to church. It can be a friend, it can be an aunt that is not Christian, it can be, a neighbor. They already completed that. And they need to write who they brought and what date and what activity. For making friends, the advance is to complete the Christian citizenship honor. You see, instead of just question number 1, 2, and 3, you do the full honor, you already covered the advance. For health and fitness is to complete a lifestyle fitness program. We used to have the President's Challenge, which gives you a bunch of activities, and then you can buy at the end, once you complete it, you buy a medal. Kids love those. Or you can do the Life Healthy Bermuda Kids. Or in the new books, you have now in the back a journal. I cannot show it here because in online they don't show it yet, but there's a journal. It's the last 2 pages where you can describe week 1, it gives you 5 days and you record what type of exercise you did. You need to do at least 30 minutes so you can walk 30 minutes. And a lot of people say like, oh, I can't do this because I don't go to the gym. Well, your cell phone has the health app where it records all your steps. So you can just go outside for half an hour and walk. And then you go back to your cell phone and it tells you, okay, in this half hour, you did so many steps. And you put, okay, what was my exercise today? Today, I walked for 30 minutes. And these are the steps. And you need to also circle the foods from my plate that you ate, right? How many fruits did you eat? How many, did you get dairy? Did you get grains? Did you get protein? And you mark it up. And that's something that I find it easier for the club than the President Challenge on the Bermuda Kids. So they included it now as a part of the books. And this is something that if you have the old books, you don't have it because it started probably 3-4 years ago when they start putting it as part of the books. For a time, they only had it in the English books, but now they're putting them in all the other languages and you can include it too. Let's continue. Oh, and you have, of course, to put your journals. Remember your exercise as master guides. You need to record that so you can do that and be completing already your friend health and fitness requirement. All right. So nature study, aside from the requirements for basic, you need to collect and identify 15 different kinds of seeds. Or easier, do the seeds honor, right? Do the seeds honor. You already covered that. You get a patch for your honor. Or you can set up and observe at the rarium and amphibians and reptiles. How do you do this? How do you put in your book? You take a photo and you can just print out a little photo and you put it in the book or you put it in your binder. So outdoor living, the advance is to complete one more honor in the area of recreation, vocational, or outdoor industry. So anything that is art-related, recreational, or outdoor, it covers that. And you need to do also one for arts and household, arts and crafts or household arts. So this is 2 more honors. If you notice, the advanced level makes you do more honors. So if you want your kid to graduate, your Pathfinders to graduate with a full sash, you do the advanced because that is the part that covers the honors. All right. So we have covered most of it. I am going to leave some questions now. We are done with our presentation. Hold on, one more thing. Before we, that conclusion is that we need to always dedicate ourselves to God. Our plans need to be for Him, going along with His will. We need to dedicate time to plan our Pathfinder teaching program. And it's at the end, it's going to be for the honor and glory of God. We need to pray for the Holy Spirit. We need to get acquainted with the curriculum, with the resources that we have. As you see, even you start from scratch today, you are not lost. You already know where to start from. You need to prepare ahead. Don't improvise. This is something that kids will lose the interest if they see you improvising week after week after week. Okay, and as Benjamin Franklin says, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. All right, so I want to hear your questions or comments, and I'm going to check the chat because I wasn't checking the chat in a little bit.
Hello.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Oh, okay. So, earlier on, I'm not sure if you said we had to complete 2 Pathfinders and 2 adventure books, or we had to teach 2 Pathfinders and 2 adventure books.
All right, good question. So as a Master Guide candidate, you need to help your club. 1 year in adventures, 1 year in Pathfinders. During that time, you need to help a kid through investiture. How do you help them? You can help them either through teaching the class as the instructor of the class, or presenting an honor, or being their counselor that is checking on them. Do you do the devotionals? What do you need help with? Do I help you with this thing? Let me see your book. Let me help you with that. That is as a counselor. So it can be teaching a class. It's up to you. You are not forced to teach a class because maybe your club already has an instructor and you're just there as support staff. So it's not necessarily teaching the class, but helping, supporting a kid from the beginning of the year until he completes the investiture. There is a form where you put the name of that kid that you help, the class that you help him graduate from. Now, aside from that, you need to complete 2 Pathfinder books and 2 adventure books. They don't necessarily need to be the friend class like we did today. Maybe your club put you in charge of Explorer. Then you do Explorer and something else. All right? But you need to present 2 books for each club. Any other question? Otherwise, we're gonna move on to the announcement. So last advice.
One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
So I believe with and like maybe minority people already completed Adventures and Pathfinders. So are those candidates also have to complete those 2 books from Pathfinder and Adventures?
Thank you so much for that question. That's a 100% valid question. If you already completed, you either have your certificate, your binder that you did with your book. I always advise that you do a binder and the kids can keep it for the time when they want to become master guides. Or you have your insignias, your patches, your pins, you know. So you just need to show me one of them. And if you don't have any of those, then that's a different situation, because some people came from other countries where they did it, let's say randomly. Oh, I come from Colombia and I did it in Colombia, but I don't have my binder and I don't have this and I don't have that. Then I need to sit with you and kind of reevaluate you and ask you questions to make sure that you actually know what we're talking about, instead of just telling me like, yeah, I did it, you know. So I'm gonna ask Evelyn very quickly to show us some of the binders that we used to do back on the day with the club. We put some effort into these binders. First of all, something that we would like to do is at induction, we will take a photo. And this is not the way you need to do it. It's just an example. We will take a photo at induction since they're in their uniform, and we will print that in the cover inside for them, so they could keep their binder with their photo, a list of all the honors that they did, all the worksheets, all the additional materials. So we had a collection of something, we included there if they can include it. And this would motivate them from the beginning of the year to see. Evelyn, I'm going to put you full screen. This will motivate them a little higher, please, so they can see the binder. Oh, I see. And we will do this ahead of time, you know. So we will have the binders for the evaluation, and then at investiture, we will also display the binders, all the work that they did, if they did any craft, if they did their notes board, if they did any additional thing, we will show them too on a table. And it's something that they get very proud of, and we encourage them to keep it. Because if they want to become master guides in the future, they just need to go to these binders and get the worksheets for the required honors. The additional honors, they still need to do them, but at least the other ones. Can you open it? All right, so this is just a suggestion. Doesn't necessarily need to be like this. We will show them, you see, we will take the photo of them. We will put the church they're from. We will decorate it very nicely. I do have these covers. If your club is interested, I can share the PDF with you. And Evelyn, can you show how we keep the books? Because kids destroy books. We will end the year with books without covers.
Put the screen big.
The screen is big. And we will, the book, Evelyn, the cover page where we put the book. Okay, so this is something that you can do. This is just a cover page. And I went to Dollar Tree and I purchased, no, don't move it. Go back to the book. Okay. We will purchase the Velcro dots, and we will just cut the top and flip it over, and we will make a pocket. And that pocket, they keep their books in there because they get wet, they get lost, they get misplaced. So they start organizing everything. And this is how you keep their books safe. Because I've seen books that even the dog took a chunk of it. Right, the pet was laying around the book and he liked to be a friend, so he ate it. You also see in there we have the record card that's suggested, where you can start checking one person at a time as they complete the progress. And can you see them? Can you show them the content, the first page? And we will have also the content of all the honors that they did. So it's easier. You can even put the little tabs to know where each honor is for the coordinator to easily go and refer to what honors they completed that year. And this also helps you get organized because you need to keep a list who completed what honors at the moment of placing the order for advanced source for the patches. Thank you, Evelyn. As we keep moving on, we're gonna learn more things. Next week, we're gonna be doing the companion class. And this is just a suggestion. Your binders don't need to be as elaborate as that. It's up to you. It takes your time, your organization skills, your investment. So it's up to you. But the thing is, the idea is to have a binder where they can keep their worksheets for their honors and their books as well. All right. Any questions or comments? We're gonna close the session. We took a
You
little.
gonna show them the picture?
Oh yeah, show them the picture of the
All right, I need to share.
board. And this board we will be doing with all the candidates. I do have already most people already registered for the CPR and first aid class. So thank you, but we're still missing a few. There's still like 3. These are some of the boards that we did with the binders, how we will present them, right? And this is just a suggestion. It looks good, and the church likes to see that. So it's a good marketing for the club at investiture ceremony, that you can show all the things that you did over there. All right. So we do have some spots, some seats available. I think it's like 3 or 4 seats for first day and CPR. So please register. All right. Thank you so much.